Welcome back to the Weeknight Mysteries podcast. My name is Yuras. As every week, I am here with my co-host Rain. How are you today, Rain?
As every week, I'm feeling pretty okay.
You're
How are you?
I'm pretty good. You're doing pretty okay this week. You also spent a lot of time digging into Dale's case.
Yes, it's a very interesting case.
Dale Kerstetter, right?
Yeah, I find it so interesting, but I do remember you mentioning that it was suggested by one of our listeners from way back in the day, right?
Yes, exactly. I don't really remember who suggested Dale's case.
Thank you and apologies.
Yeah, I'm sorry for never getting to it, but it does seem that Dale's case had some recent information that came to light, or at least like evidence, let's put it this way, the footage.
I mean, they did recover the footage, but it seemed like it's already too late for it to be fully recovered. But at least they did something.
Yeah. So to kind of paint a picture to our listeners really quickly, Dale Kerstetter, he was a 50-year-old man working as a night watchman in a small town of Bradford, Pennsylvania. And he was working in the Corning Glassworks, which was a glassworking plant, something like that, right?
It's a pretty big company. It's still here these days.
It's still a company. There's still a publicly listed company. You could even check out, how the stock...
They're doing pretty well.
The stock has been doing really well. And this man back in 1987, 50-year-old, Dale Kerstetter, was just doing a night shift at the plant. And it seems like during this night, something weird happened. Another masked thief, by the looks of it, entered the plant potentially under threat, ordered Dale to open up the valuable doors, like where the valuable platinum was at. Dale had never came out of this night alive, presumably.
Nor was he ever seen again, dead or alive.
So this is what we're working with. We're working with a case where seems like a robbery potentially gone wrong, or maybe there was a hint of an inside job. It's like hard to tell. But could you walk us through some of the details, and then we can like kind of go back and forth on some of the stuff that is publicly known about this case?
Yeah, actually I want to start with platinum, because I did not know this, but apparently platinum is one of the rarest metals in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's apparently much rarer than gold and silver, that in fact, all of the platinum ever mined could fit into your home. Well, it depends on how big your home is, but it's from National Physical Laboratory in the UK, okay?
Okay, that's interesting.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's ideal for electronic components and jewelry, and I guess that's why Corning Glassworks had a lot of it.
Had a lot of that valuable platinum, right? Because what was stolen from the plant were
Just platinum.
platinum pipes. The pipes were stolen.
And the platinum that was stolen costed a lot of money.
Yeah, the valuation of the
$250,000.
$250,000 back in the day money potentially.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. So our main guy here, Dale, also he was from Bradford, from Pennsylvania. He was working, as you mentioned, as a night shift security guard, and he was, from the looks of it, he seems like a very nice guy, right?
He seemed like a very nice guy. He was the father of 6 children. He seemed like a loving father.
That is true. And he was working for Corning Glassworks in that same Bradford plant for, some sources said, 27 years, but some said 29 years.
Yeah, something like that. Almost 3 decades.
And yeah, he was born in 1937. So yeah, he was 50 years old at the time of his disappearance. Not that old, not that old.
50, yeah. But another interesting thing that I will bring up here, I've read somewhere that that Dale, he was about to retire in a couple of months.
About 6 months before he retired, this incident happened.
Yeah, but then isn't it a bit weird how, well, he was going to retire early.
For 50, yeah, maybe that's how it worked back in the day.
I think he was also part of the Air Force.
He was,
So
yeah.
maybe he would be.
Maybe there was some sort of like, I don't know, arrangement that you could retire early.
Yeah, I think some sort of a maybe military early retirement. So when we're talking about Dale potentially retiring shortly before he went missing, Dale is not that old. He's just 50.
To be honest,
he's very young to retire.
I saw his picture and I thought he was older.
From the images,
From
yeah.
the images, right?
Could be that he is looks older. To be honest, yeah, from the images he does look a little older.
But he was already like a father, 6 children, and potentially a grandfather by
Yeah,
then.
also a grandfather of I think 2 grandchildren as well.
And it's kind of interesting because his family and friends described him as a very nice, very kind, compassionate person, and he's very loving. He would used to bring donuts after his shifts to his children, and I remember his son. In one of the articles that I read, he said that there wasn't a kid in the world who wouldn't want to have him as a dad. Generally,
Yeah.
nice guy.
Generally, a very nice guy.
Interesting though, at work, his managers were saying something different. They described him more as like a marginal employee, sometimes a slow worker. But there was apparently an incident wherein a forklift accidentally rolled underneath a steam of like hot molten glass. But Dale immediately jumped on it and drove it out. So he prevented an accident.
He saved lives.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, one of his managers said that you could see one side of Dale, and it would make sense that he would be involved in this incident, in the theft.
So let's roll back a little bit, just so we could keep up. After Dale went missing, and we already mentioned that there was an intruder
Yeah.
seen with Dale on the footage. The manager, what was his name? I think
Foley.
Foley, yeah.
Patrick Foley, I
Patrick
believe.
Foley. This guy came out there and he said Patrick was slow, but he was like crafty.
Dale was slow.
Oh, so yeah, sorry. Dale was slow, but he was kind of like crafty. He knew how to do maintenance work. Because in fact, one other thing I found out about Dale is that Dale wasn't really a security guard by trade. He was a maintenance guy all his
Yeah.
life. He only took up security
Because they didn't leave him any choice.
because they had a pay cut for
They
a lot of
downsized, right?
downsized, and they cut the wages. So Dale's pay cut got reduced. That's why he took up the extra work as a night guard for the plant. So
I remember one of his managers mentioned that he definitely was not a happy employee around the time of that disappearance / robbery.
I mean,
But who would be?
who would be in this circumstance when your pay cut is like you get the pay cut?
Yeah, and then you have to do extra hours just to sustain yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point. So basically, to kind of finish off just for this little stoppage here, Patrick Foley, the manager, the plant manager or something like that, after the disappearance of Dale and the theft of $250K worth platinum, he said, "Oh, I think Dale was in on the theft."
Yeah, and I also read an article that was written 2025, just last year, and the same manager was still convinced that he was on it. He did not change his mind after all these years.
When? Sorry?
2025.
2025, he's still...
Very convinced that Dale was in on it.
He's still convinced that Dale took the... Well, that's the thing. We're gonna go through the story here. I think there's a... Maybe a line of thinking that Dale could have been double-crossed.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's coming up later.
Yeah, but a little bit more about Dale, just to finish up a little bit of a section about his personal life. He had 6 children, but he also was divorced. But his ex-wife was always telling good things about him, nothing bad. And before he disappeared, I believe he had a girlfriend named Pamela Mace.
Okay, I didn't know this. Mm-hmm. Who is this Pamela?
I didn't see much information about her other than Dale was supposed to call her after his shift, but he never really did. And Pamela contacted one of his daughters, and that's how it happened. It all goes down. Yeah, so he was living in his mobile home in Louis Run and drove 10 miles to the plant. So basically, the night of his disappearance, his shift usually goes around 11 p.m. to 7 in the morning. Makes sense, night shift.
Yep.
But he apparently arrived there at 10:30, pretty early.
I think it's pretty... It's nothing... Or
10:30 though.
Or, actually, is there a chance that Dale came to the power plant 30 minutes early in order to set up entry for the thieves?
I actually did not get any information about that because I was also curious, like, does he always go early?
Maybe he's just a early bird, early to the job.
But you know what? He gives me this impression of like, kind of like an older grandfather who's just doing this job but just waiting for his retirement.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure. I got the same idea. Well, I think, yeah. To be honest, most security guards that I've seen are like...
Kind of like that.
Hey,
we're kind of like that. No judgments here.
I think, aren't we all? Just waiting to retire.
Mm-hmm. Just give us the money.
Yeah, so we could retire. Okay, so what else do you know about his background, or would you say that's everything we have on Dale?
I know that he likes hunting, and he was a chain smoker. He smoked a lot.
And that is an important detail. Because we will find out that his cigarettes were left behind in the truck.
Yeah, I did read a lot of articles and interviews from his family, most especially his daughter Penny, and he was always described this just loving, kind person, dad. A little bit of a troublemaker, but nothing illegal, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. I also couldn't find anything that said that Dale was not a good person, to be honest. Every time I looked at any kind of source, I always got the information that he had no criminal history or anything like that. So it looks like he was just a regular guy working at the glass plant.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think maybe we're gonna jump to the disappearance.
Maybe we could talk about that night then.
Yeah, the night of the disappearance, right?
Perfect. Okay. So his shift usually starts at 11 p.m. and ends at 7 a.m. He left his mobile home, got there around 10:30 p.m., pretty early, to replace a fellow guard on Saturday night. Can't remember which date was it. Do you remember?
So it was the 12th of September.
Okay.
It's 12th of, if I remember correctly.
September.
Yeah, it was 12th of September.
End of summer.
It was end of summer and it was Saturday. It was, he showed up, his night shift was supposed to start at 10 or 11 on Saturday, and it was supposed to end on 7 a.m. on Sunday.
Yeah. So yeah, he showed up early to relieve
The other guy?
the other guy, Art. His name is Art Peterson. And there was this thing about them wherein they had to apparently check into the main factory every hour after making rounds.
Yeah, I remember that. Basically, they would have to make a phone call from the Bradford plant to the headquarters in New York State. So basically, to another maybe bigger plant, they had to make a call every hour.
Yeah.
But aren't we aware now that Dale?
No phone call happened.
Dale, I found information that Dale did in fact make one.
He did.
Yeah, I read somewhere, and now this is the question if my source is correct, but I found information that Dale, in fact, made one check-in call at 11.
Oh, the beginning of his shift. That makes
I
sense.
think he checked in at 11. That's the information I have. But he never checked in at 12.
And no one, or until 7 a.m. and no one batted an eye.
Yes.
It's very interesting though, because I'm assuming that plant, that factory was massive.
Yep.
I find it so interesting that there was only one guard patrolling the area.
I don't necessarily think it was super massive. To be honest, I found an image of it was kind of hard to find the exact location of this plant. I found an image of what I think is this plant. It's not that big of a facility. I think the main facility is kind of big. I do have extra information on why no one really noticed during the night that Dale's not checking in. And that is because the person on the other side of that phone line in the HQ
Was new.
he was new. You know
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
And I just had this crazy thought in my head. The guy in the HQ is new, right? So he knows that Dale is not making the phone calls and he's not sounding the alarm that, oh, Dale is not checking in. Would the thieves know that Dale had to check in every hour? Because the thieves, we will know that the thieves, I think, took maybe like a couple of hours in the power plant, not power plant, the glass plant. So do you think that the thieves got super lucky here, knowing that the other guy in the HQ was new and he wasn't really causing alarm, that Dale's not, checking in with him?
I do have a better question. Do you think the new guy is in on it?
No.
It just feels like too much of a coincidence.
That the new guy would get employed at the HQ specific, or maybe they maybe they contacted the no, but he was a new guy,
He was a new guy.
so he would have had to apply for this job. And I don't think you just get this job immediately. Like, it feels like a technical
Or like,
job.
no, what I'm trying to say is that he gets employed and then he comes up with this grand plan.
Oh,
He was in the group. He was part of this grand plan of stealing.
it sounds a little too crazy. to
It's
be
way
true.
too crazy, yeah.
It sounds a bit too much. But
I
maybe.
could definitely see it just being like a grave mistake.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a mistake. That would be the craziest
Heist ever, right?
Heist ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be so crazy. Okay.
That would be insanely crazy. But they managed to do it.
All right. So Dale, what happened right after Dale went to work at the glass plant?
Okay, so yeah.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit about the timeline of this case?
Yeah, of course. So we know his shift starts at 11, but he arrived in the plant at 10:30. So the next day, when Patrick Foley, his people manager, was reviewing the tapes, he saw that at 10:40, 10 minutes after he arrived, the intruder was already there.
So wait, let me try to understand. So Dale shows up at 10:30, which is 30 minutes early,
Yeah,
and then
he took over. So Art, the other guy, the other security person, already left.
yeah, and then when did the first intruder show
10
up?
minutes after.
At 4:40.
10:40.
10:40. Okay.
The intruder was already seen in one of those cameras.
Okay.
And then at 10:45, 5 minutes after, it was showed that Dale was coming in and meeting the intruder in the corridor at the back of the plant.
At 10:45, right?
10:45.
So we have one footage of the intruder not talking to Dale at 10:40.
And just 5 minutes after, they were talking at the back of the power plant.
All right.
And then they were talking, and in the cameras, they were seen walking in.
They were seen walking through the plant. Mm-hmm. Do we know anything about the conversation that Dale had with the intruder?
Nope, not at all. They were just seen talking and then walking in. And around the same time, it says here a minute after, that's when, the famous, in the Unsolved Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries, yeah.
Dale was seen looking straight at the camera.
So basically, Unsolved Mysteries did the reenactment of the video. So the original video of Dale looking at the CCTV camera doesn't exist anymore due to, they messed up the audio over the video over the years.
It was so grainy, and they tried reviving it, but to no avail.
But then let's stop here for just 1 second to kind of definitely understand what is happening. And I'm gonna say these, and you tell me if I got them right. Mm-hmm. Dale goes to work 10:30.
Yes.
10:40, intruder shows up on CCTV. Mm-hmm. 5 minutes later, at 10:45, Dale is talking with intruder. At 10:46, Dale does the infamous stare at the camera.
And the thing is, they were not walking side by side, because maybe our listeners are thinking they're walking side by side, like just walking together inside the plant, like weirdos. No, Dale was walking in front. The intruder was behind him. So he seems like from the footage, looks like Dale was leading him. Some people say it looks like the masked man had a gun behind him.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of arrangement.
Yeah, I think I have this. Do you have the image? So, do you have the reenactment footage on your file? Because I'm looking at it right now. I mean, I know this is a Unsolved Mysteries reenactment, so I'm not sure what we could gauge from it. But from what I can see from the footage, it doesn't necessarily look to me like. Actually, it could be either way.
Could be either way.
What do you think? Do you think that this reenactment footage, how does it look like?
It looks very similar to the actual footage.
Yeah, I heard, wasn't it Penny?
Yeah.
Wasn't it Dale's daughter Penny who said that the footage on Unsolved Mysteries, the reenactment, kind of looked very similar to the real thing? Because Penny was shown the real footage back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I think maybe there's no point on trying to figure out if the reenactment footage is weird, because that's all we got. Okay, sorry.
And we had a confirmation that it is very close.
Yeah.
Or exactly like the real footage.
That's true. We have that confirmation. And now, do you know what happened next after the infamous footage at 10:46? And then another thing, while you're tell me if you got back in your notes.
I
too.
got back at it.
Really, then keep that place. Don't lose it. I will ask you another question because this just jumped to my mind randomly. Look, Dale was supposed to start work at 11.
Yeah.
He was already, by the looks of it, intercepted by the masked man by 10:45. So if Dale is starting his night shift at 11, then this is interesting because the other guy, Art, Art was supposed to still stay in theory until 11, right?
Yeah, in theory, to just end his shift.
So what if Dale never went early? What if Art was the one who got intercepted and Dale showed up during the interception? This is something I never thought about.
Right? It's
This is
just
weird.
a grave coincidence, I would
Do
say.
you think... Okay, I have another question before we move past. Do you think that the masked intruder knew the time when security guards change?
I think so. Well, not really, because he got there at 10:45.
He got...
So in theory, there
If-
were supposed to be two.
No, if he knew that the shift changes at 11, why would he go
Early.
at 10:45 knowing that he's gonna have the other guy showing up any second?
Yeah, because if I'm
Wait,
the
what
masked
is...
person and I'm
This
aware
is
of it,
bizarre. Yeah, this is
go
bizarre.
at 11:05 just to make sure there's only one guy there. I'm not gonna go at 10:30, knowing that maybe I would.
Maybe this is just some sort of to be honest, I feel like this could be just some weird and super lucky coincidence by the masked culprit that he kind of like avoided getting spotted by the other guy because the other guy was already early.
Yeah, but I mean, in theory, Art should have still been there. But I think it is just a very lucky coincidence for the masked person that Art was like, oh, okay, Dale's here. I'm gonna go home.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue after that point.
All right, so at 11:19, they entered this furnace area in the second floor where the platinum was located. It's basically a huge kiln.
Yeah, it's a furnace.
Yeah, where they melt the platinum to make something out of it. I don't really know how it works.
They were making platinum pipes.
So yeah, 11:19. That's when the footage show the masked man entering it, and for 35 minutes apparently, the masked man removed the platinum from the area.
I have another question here. Sorry for stopping you, but I think this is important. Dale is not
There anymore.
Dale is not there.
Yeah, he was never seen again.
He is the last time Dale is seen when he looked at the camera.
10:46.
And by 11:19,
Nothing, just only one masked person.
but he's alone in the furnace area,
Yeah.
stealing those pipes for the next half an hour.
Oh, and I forgot to mention how do you say this? The arrangement of the camera is like they have different angles, but back in the day they only have maybe one monitor, so it switches up, shows angle 1 and then angle 2 and then angle 3.
I know what you mean. There's 3 cameras, 1 monitor.
Yeah.
That one monitor keeps switching the cameras. I get it.
So in any angle by 11 or after 10:46, Dale was not in any of those. So I'm assuming he wasn't in the plant, or I don't know.
That is so weird. Because where is Dale?
Right?
Where is he? Because
He entered with the guy, but then he was never seen again.
that is so weird. I'm not gonna lie, that is so weird. Because you would think that he would get captured, right? Mm-hmm. But then again, there are only 3 security cameras in the glass plant. It could be that he has been incapacitated somewhere in the corner, which is not observed by the cameras.
True, but my question is, at that point in time, do you think he was still inside? Because there was a camera, I'm assuming from the outside, where they were seen talking to each other.
Yeah, good question, and I have no idea. To be
Right.
honest. Yeah, but that's a good question. Okay, let's proceed. So the guy, right? The last time point you said was guy
11:19.
and at 11:19. Yeah,
He was going for 35 minutes. He was collecting the platinum, going back and forth and all of that.
all right.
And apparently the pipes were missing from the tank. Apparently there was a tank, but it was cut using a hacksaw.
Hacksaw? I've seen. Oh, that's cool. You know why? You know why that's kind of interesting?
Yeah.
Sorry for stopping here again.
Oh, all good, all good.
I read a newspaper from 1990, and in this newspaper, I see information that someone used a chainsaw to cut $250,000 worth of platinum. Indiana Gazette reports that a chainsaw was used, but you say it was a hacksaw?
Yeah, it's actually interesting because I have another one. We'll talk about it more later. But it was seen in the CCTV that the guy was, the masked man was pushing a bag using, apparently, I read 2 sources. One says a manual forklift, so it's bigger. And the other one says like just those pulleys.
Dolly.
Like
It's
hand
I think it's
pulls.
a dolly.
I have no idea what
It's
it
a
is.
dolly. Well, my source said dolly.
You know, the ones with the wheel that you just push, right?
Yes, I know.
Yeah. And some source said it's a forklift. So I don't know.
We don't know. What we do have, we do have unsolved mysteries reenactment. And in the reenactment, the man is clearly pushing a dolly. So I presume
I'm gonna go with that one then.
I'm gonna go with what Unsolved Mysteries reenactment is showing us, and it is not.
The manual pulleys.
But
Pushies.
hey, I think we need to still get to this, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go.
So it's pretty tough because we have several sources that say the 2 different things, multiple different things. But yeah, we could go back to 11:19. So this people manager, Patrick Foley, Dale's direct manager, said that whoever removed the platinum from the tank was extremely familiar with the plant and everything inside. They knew exactly where to go. Despite the darkness, the masked man knew exactly where to go, had the tools, and how to move back and forth around the tank area or the furnace area.
Yeah, that is an interesting information. So, do you think that Masked Man is a former or current employee of the plant?
I would assume so, mainly because what he stole is very niche. If I'm just a random robber, would I rob a jewelry store or a platinum plant? I would go for a jewelry store.
That's a good. That's interesting. I did actually read a blog about Dale's case, and they made a really good point that there were actually quite a lot of platinum heists
Oh, really?
It was a thing. It was a thing where people would go into plants and steal they would steal platinum. And this was not the first time. Even around the same part of America and around the same time these things were happening. So platinum was actually stealable and sellable.
But it's not the first thing that goes into your mind if
Oh,
you
definitely
need some
not.
money, right?
No, this is a pre-planned operation. You
Yeah.
have to already know who to sell it, but you know how they would sell it?
How?
I read it. They would melt platinum.
But that means you need like a massive furnace for it. It's not.
Yeah,
You don't do it in a bonfire.
No, but you have a facility, you melt the platinum and then you bring it to the scrapyard.
Oh.
That's how you get money. So this was a real setup.
But I'm wondering, since the masked person cut the pipes, the platinum pipes, using like a chainsaw or a hacksaw,
Yeah.
then that means he also had an access to, I don't know, some random furnace where he could melt it and sell it.
Yeah, potentially. I believe that whoever stole those items, I bet they were melted down, and I bet they were brought to multiple different scrapyards at quantities which would not raise suspicion.
That sounds so complicated. Might as well just go to a jewelry store.
No, not really.
Really?
If you steal jewelry, then the jewelry is identifiable. Melted platinum is...
It's just so complicated. Like, you're gonna have to look for what a furnace in which you could melt it.
I think these guys already had the furnace before they go do the stealing.
So this is not like a regular person who...
No.
No
And
way, right?
this could be somehow... yeah, and I'm with good old Patrick. I think he has a good point. It could have been someone from the plant. The question is, was
Who was
Dale and was Dale in on it? But I guess let's move through the timeline.
Okay, so now 12:51 a.m., past midnight, nearly an hour after midnight, the man uses a hand truck, or as he said,
A dolly.
a dolly. Some sources said it was a manual forklift to drag what looks like a plastic covered bag and a load out of the plant. And some people say it could have been Dale's body, and some people said it's the platinum. Either way, both are heavy. Like, you actually need something to take it out.
So for me, the first question is there a way to get out of the plant without getting captured by camera? Because that would be the only way that Dale would be alive in this, unfortunate scenario. And if there isn't any other way to get out, and this camera is the only way to kind of get out through the plant, and it would make sense that they would have one camera angle at the entrance and the exit. It
Yeah.
would make sense, right? So would that mean that the guy kills Dale, puts him in a bag, puts the bag on the dolly, and then strolls Dale out of the vicinity?
But then again, where? It
To
wasn't
his-
captured.
To his car.
The car was never captured on CCTV, but maybe there was no CCTV
In the
around the
parking,
parking
yeah.
area, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Or he could have just parked it
In a secluded spot, which makes him look more like an insider
Yeah,
because he
right?
knows where to park.
Yeah, good point. And he puts his body in the car so he could dispose the body and not leave evidence. I was thinking, if you're gonna kill Dale and steal the platinum, would it really matter to you if you kill Dale on the spot and his remains are found? Maybe it does matter, because to be honest, if you are ever charged with the theft, they wouldn't be able to maybe charge you with the murder, and maybe you would get a lighter sentence.
Yeah.
Maybe it makes sense for the culprit to take Dale's remains out of the plant. Okay, please go on.
And we have our last timestamp at 12:53, 3 minutes after, no, 2 minutes after the man was seen using a dolly to get the load out of the plant. The man was seen re-entering the plant, and then that's it. I do not know much about this last timestamp. That's all we have.
Sorry, can you repeat the exact time?
12:53, 2 minutes after the guy was seen.
12:53. And this is the last time.
Yes, he was seen re-entering, but I'm not sure about that last information, because how can he be seen re-entering the plant and not leaving the plant?
Yeah. Maybe there's another way to leave the plant.
Yeah. It was never really, we don't have any information about it.
Okay, so we have the general timeline. What else? I think you'd mentioned there were like witnesses, sightings.
Yeah, but that was quite after it. 2 people came up saying they've seen Dale. Police investigated it, but it was not credible, apparently.
Okay.
But we have to talk about the morning after.
Oh yeah, I forgot what
Me
happened.
too.
What happened on the morning?
Okay, so Sunday morning at 7 a.m., this guy, John, he is also a security person who was supposed to relieve Dale, take over the shift. But apparently, according to John, he would usually see Dale sitting right beside the door inside. However, when he checked in, no one was there. So he went up to the break room. Some sources said it was a cafeteria, but maybe it's like the same thing. Dale was still not there, but Dale's lunch was there untouched on the table. And there was also a newspaper next to it, and then underneath the newspaper, the plant keys were there. Dale's security people, Dale's own set of keys were there under the.
So yeah, and I know there were other things found, but let's stop at here for 2 seconds. So basically, his lunch was not eaten. Makes perfect sense. It wouldn't be really lunch. It would be like midnight snack.
Yeah.
But it makes
Midnight
sense.
lunch.
Midnight. It makes sense that he didn't eat it. Something happened to him, but he did bring lunch, or like midnight food. So if he was going to, let's say, disappear with the money forever, why would he bring the lunch? I guess we're going to be talking about that. Another thing is the keys were under the newspaper. So I assume that the culprit never touched those keys because he never had to touch these keys.
Yeah.
The plant was already unlocked, or maybe Dale was doing the unlocking.
Yeah.
So basically, he never had to touch the keys. He just got what he came here for.
Yeah. And you know what's really sad about it? I pictured Dale, if, for example, he's completely innocent, which I believe he is. He had this like regular day, another work day, arrived at 10:30. So I'm assuming maybe he was gonna eat first. He sat there. The other guard already left home. He's like probably like just gonna eat with the newspaper, obviously, and then he heard some commotion. That's how I pictured it.
That could be how it happened.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's just so weird to leave your lunch on the table. I'm assuming like dining table, like where you actually sit down and eat.
It depends when was he thinking about eating this lunch.
True.
But yeah, you have a good point. Okay.
Okay, and then later on that morning, Dale's red Jeep pickup truck was discovered in the parking lot with the keys in the ignition. But according to Penny, his daughter, it was not it was ordinary. It was nothing weird because it was usual for Dale to do that and for anyone at that time to do that.
That is
Bizarre.
but maybe that's how it worked. Okay.
And then inside the car, there was a carton of cigarettes. I'm not talking a small box. Apparently, it was a big one.
Carton, basically, it's like like 8 or it's usually like 10. 10 packs wrapped in a carton.
Yeah.
So he had this 10 packs.
And then he also, inside the car was the holster for Dale's .22 caliber gun. But the gun itself was missing, and then a backpack, a day pack.
Okay, so I immediately have to think here. His gun is missing from the holster. So would he go into his work carrying a gun outside of his holster?
No.
Or did someone gain access into his truck and took the gun out of the holster? I believe that the way I was thinking about this detail, I was thinking that maybe he would take the gun and just maybe have it on him in the glass plant outside of the holster because maybe it's more comfortable, first of all, because holster might not be super comfortable for an all-night shift security.
But it's just gonna be on your side. Should be easy to take out, no?
Maybe it was standard practice for him. And wasn't that gun was used for hunting, I read somewhere.
It's .22 caliber gun. I don't know what that looks like.
I think let's continue on.
So, and that security person, John, and the one who was supposed to relieve Dale, knew something was not right. So he began searching. At first, he thought maybe there's something of an accident, heart-related accident that happened. So he started looking for Dale, but he couldn't find him. So he told the managers about it, and the managers thought that Dale was just out drinking, and then he's gonna show up.
This is the same Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy though. It's like they're either not the nicest or Dale had a bad reputation in that factory. I don't know.
Yeah, Dale was treated poorly
Seems so, yeah.
by the company. And that is a shame because he has been there for 3 decades and he was treated so poorly by the management.
Yeah, it's insanely bad. And the manager was talking crap. It's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they began searching for him. He didn't turn up. Around 5 p.m., they called the police, and that's when the dogs were brought in. And then the dog first found the scent along the normal route. You know, the cafeteria, the storage areas, the bathroom, mechanical equipment room, just a regular round. But the dog also picked up his scent on the second floor where the furnace is at. It's very interesting because it was not part of Dale's rounds. He wasn't supposed to be there. His scent was not supposed to be there.
Yes, and the CCTV footage
Saw him.
didn't see him.
Yeah, that's true, but they did see him in the plant, so I'm not sure where he was. Where did he end up? If he was in the plant and he was never seen again.
Maybe he went right next to the furnace room with Culprit. Culprit told him to unlock the furnace. And after that, unfortunately, maybe Culprit,
Disposed of him.
potentially killed Dale.
But where and how? Was he in the bag?
And let's say Dale was killed in a way that, in a place where the CCTV didn't capture the
True.
the killing. Potentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's it. That's it. I believe, if I remember correctly, that people manager either looked at the CCTV cameras, the footages, a day after or a few days after. And when he saw the masked man, he was shocked. Like, who wouldn't be? Because at first they thought Dale was just going rogue. But then they saw the footage and it was a masked person. But yeah, I think it was the day after.
Okay, so that's all we have from the timeline, right?
Yes, and Dale has never been seen ever again up until today.
So we already talked about the witnesses, and I think you agree with me that there were no credible witnesses,
Nothing.
right? So that leaves us with suspects. Personally, I don't think I have any suspects. Did you find anything?
I did, but these are just, feels like they're reaching.
Okay, what are they reaching? Like, what are
It
these
feels
suspects?
reaching because it feels like we're grasping for someone to blame, but it feels like it's too far.
Do we have someone?
Yes, so we do have a friend of Dale's who was considered a possible suspect because he seemed like he always had some money. It's pretty funny, right?
Okay, he always was flaunting money.
I don't think in the way that, like, modern rappers do these days, but like he always had the money, and he never really indicated how he got the money. And a few months after Dale disappeared, he relocated to Florida. But that's it.
I mean, to be honest, that's kind of suspicious.
Police investigated him. We don't have a name. His name was never made public, and the police said nope.
That he's not responsible?
Yeah, and even Penny talked to him, and Penny knew. And Penny was like, no, it's a dead end.
Was this the Ollie?
Ollie is... So that Florida man talked to Penny, and Penny, according to Penny, that Florida guy said, oh, I know a guy, Ollie.
Wait. So the guy who tried to implicate Ollie was actually the most suspicious guy, because he's the guy who went to Florida.
Yeah, he's the Florida... Yeah, he's the leaver to Florida. And when Penny talked to him, he was like, I do know a guy. I do know an employee of mine called Ollie.
Yeah. And apparently Ollie... What do we know anything about Ollie?
I don't have his full name, but he's now deceased, and this Florida guy said that he was working for him, and he apparently overheard him talking with Dale about how easy it would be to steal a platinum for the plant.
While himself being
Shady.
possessing money.
Enough to relocate to Florida.
Yeah, and then the timing is also interesting.
Yeah, so this Florida guy believed that Ollie and Dale planned to steal the platinum, but Ollie double-crossed him, killed him, and dumped him down a gas well.
So he was trying to implicate Ollie. I bet Ollie is cleared, right? Or was Ollie ever considered the suspect?
No evidence was found to support this theory, and Ollie is now deceased.
Okay, but you said that Penny doesn't think that
Florida guy.
was responsible.
Yeah.
So, okay, would anyone else from the suspects?
That's it, actually. We have another report of stealing in the plant. Apparently, a coworker of Dale's was caught stealing items from work, and there's nothing much about it. He was just fired.
I mean, this guy also sounds suspicious.
Yeah, right? That's why I added him. It's like,
Because this guy,
robbery.
was known to steal from the plant. Mm-hmm. But maybe he wasn't a killer.
Yeah, maybe he didn't steal like 250K worth of platinum. Maybe just one piece.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe he wasn't that type of a guy. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Feels like a small robbery instead of like grabbing some more after a big robbery.
Yeah, he probably didn't steal 250K. Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically we kind of have interesting suspect, but seems like they have been.
It's far-fetched.
I mean, that Florida guy is not really that far-fetched
The
when you.
police already took a look into him, and police were like, nah, doesn't seem like this the guy. It's very interesting.
But I am interested in this Florida guy.
Yeah,
But I guess we don't have his name.
unfortunately not. I tried, couldn't find any. Maybe you found something?
I never heard about it, so that's interesting. Okay, so this leaves us with the big question, I think. If Dale, because this is the big thing going around. Is Dale in on this heist? Is he part of the plan, or was he a victim?
That is true. If you ask his manager, then I bet he would say he is.
Well, he already said it, right?
Yeah.
So did you ever try to think from this angle?
No, not really, but we do have some. I did find some information that could convince us that he might have done it, that he was in on it, because apparently his manager said, Patrick Foley said that.
Okay, let's start with the pros.
Suggesting that he was in on it. Yeah, so this manager of his said that Dale looked like he was flaunting his involvement in a crime in the cameras, in the footage. I think it's weird. I don't think so. He looked at the camera, and for Mr. Patrick Foley, he looks like he was taunting them, like, "Hey, I'm taking your platinum."
This is the 1046
Yeah.
final last image of Dale. And he looks at the camera from the Unsolved Mysteries recreation. I guess he just looks regular.
Yeah.
I somehow think it's probably impossible to gauge if someone is flaunting about this crime.
Unless he was actually holding those platinums and waving it around.
Yeah, waving or showing the middle finger to the camera with the platinum.
Right.
But it
If
wasn't.
you're just looking at the camera, you're just looking at the camera.
You're just looking at the camera. Yeah. Exactly.
But the police did a little bit of investigation, and they found out that apparently Dale had $30,000 to $40,000 of various debts, including for the trailer and vehicle payments and other bills which he owed throughout the area. So he had a little bit of money, had a little bit of bills to pay.
Yep.
But his daughter Penny said that his children, he had 6, could take care of him, and he had a stock in Corning and money invested in it. He also had a 401k. I don't know what that means.
401k is
It's not the money.
It's the pension plan in America.
Oh, okay.
It's like
it's not that big, right? Or is it big enough to pay up his 30k?
It depends how much money you have in it. It's like, it accumulates based on how much you're paying in it every month, I think. It's they have a bit of a different pension system in America. I think 401k is the pension. Basically, it's their pension fund.
Okay. And then on top of that, he had $5,000 in his savings account. So he's not completely broke. He wasn't. And yeah, according to Penny, his daughter, if it got to the point where he really needed money, there were too many ways he could have obtained it legally. And also his ex-wife, Nancy, was like, he's going to retire in about 6 months. Why would he do it?
The thing is, for all of these arguments, I could see it going also to that he was involved.
Yeah.
All of these arguments are like, oh, he was about to retire. Yeah.
It could be like one big hurrah.
One last chance to get this money. Then he got that big pay cut. So maybe he is spiteful at the company. Look at the plant manager.
Understandably so, yeah.
Plant manager is his seems like number one hater. If he steals the platinum under the manager's supervision, the manager maybe will get fired because it's like such a huge.
It's massive. He'll get rich and he'll get fired.
Yeah, so all of these like working against Dale, I could see it also working for him. Obviously, by the sound of it, Dale was just a nice guy, so who wouldn't do it? But I would say I just see how.
It could also be. Also, he has been working there for years, so that means he knows basically the ins and outs, and maybe he also knows where to melt platinum in order to resell it.
He was the maintenance guy. That means he probably knows how this sort of machinery work.
Yeah.
He would be potentially able to make the platinum sellable.
Definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
okay. So these were the cons, that the pros that he was involved. Oh, and the cons.
And the cons, basically the things that we're looking at that seems like he is innocent, that make him seem like innocent,
Yeah.
is the fact that he has uneaten lunch on the table, number one.
Yeah, that's true.
Why?
Unless he was, trying to make it seem like this was just a regular.
It just sounds so complicated of a plan for a 50-year-old man who's about to retire in 6 months to do. Like, okay, I'm gonna go in there early, pack my lunch, leave it there to make it seem like
I think
you can see it happening.
I think as a 50-year-old person, you probably could still pull this off easy.
True.
I'm thinking more like if he planned to disappear permanently, then really, why would he bring the lunch? But if he wanted to make it seem like, oh, I got robbed, the next day, he would be like, help, police, I got robbed. Then it would make sense for him to have all of his lunch and everything.
If he just appears the next day.
Yeah, if he appears. So the question is, I guess, something definitely went wrong. Like Dale wanted maybe a small cut of the platinum, but if he was involved. But they got rid of him.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that.
But maybe he didn't want any cut of the platinum. Maybe he was completely innocent and unaware about the plan.
That's true. I could see it happening both ways. And the other thing that makes him look like he's not in it, cigarettes. It's a carton of cigarettes. Why would you leave it in the car?
Yeah, no, I think Dale wasn't thinking about disappearing.
Yeah.
I think the question for me is if Dale wanted to permanently... No, sorry. Dale wanted to make it seem like he got robbed, or he was absolutely unaware of what was about to happen. And I think the crucial part, the biggest part for me, is the fact that Dale came in 30 minutes earlier and relieved the art, and he got interaction with culprit during Art's time.
That's true.
So did he come in and... But that doesn't make any sense either way, because then it just doesn't make any sense, because the culprit could have just waited until Art's time is over.
To be absolutely sure, right?
To be absolutely sure. This makes me think that Dale is absolutely innocent. You know why I'm thinking why Dale is absolutely innocent is because if he came in 30 minutes early before Art's shift ended, he relieves Art, and then the culprit comes in and meets him. Let's say he's in on the plot. He would have told the other guy who's the masked intruder, he would have told the masked intruder, come a little later.
Yeah.
11:30 when
So we're
Art is long
absolutely sure.
gone. Yeah. If he was in on it, why would he arrange the masked man to go in on Art's timeline? It's too weird.
It's risky.
Even though he knew he's gonna relieve Art.
What if Art decided to be like, no, I'll stay
You
here
know
until...
what? You know what it is. You know what it is. Maybe there's still a chance. Maybe he relieved Art and then signaled that Art is gone.
But why not do it at
11:30 without having to deal with Art?
Yeah, it's like, it feels
Still
more
weird.
complicated than just like, oh, my shift will start at
Yep.
11, I'm completely alone. Pop in.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Absolutely.
Feels like a level of complication and risk that they could have avoided.
Yeah, and you know, Art could have left something behind. He could
Yeah.
have came back.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, I believe that Dale is innocent, but you have some more details?
Yes, so Dale had a best friend named Bob Hartle, and he strongly believes that Dale was not involved in theft because apparently they spent too many times together on hunting trips on disappearance, and Dale never mentioned anything, like not once, about stealing platinum in the plant or anything in the plant. According to him, Dale, if even that's an idea, it would have slipped up. But nothing. And then the last one, I think the most important one, right here, is Dale's former colleague, a man named Skeet Stoughton, probably butchered that last name, apologies, believes that Dale is innocent as well. He believes that Dale would have known about where the additional platinum right next to where the original platinum was stolen. It's an insider information, so apparently there were extra hidden, but they weren't touched.
Well, that's actually that's a big clue.
Right? Because if he would steal it, he would be like, okay, steal the extra ones.
That's a
More
big,
money.
That's a big clue.
Yeah. And then he would have known about the security camera, the angles. And instead of looking up at it, it would be easy to like dismantle them or like cover them or do something about them. Why would he show his face?
Yeah. He knew about the cameras, but then if he covered the cameras, that would implicate him. Dale.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
Dale wanted to,
Look innocent.
but if he was involved, he probably wanted to just look innocent. So I think maybe that
The extra platinum is stronger. Yeah, and yeah, that's it. He said that Dale wouldn't have left the carton of cigarettes in his truck. And he said, in my opinion, I'll go to my grave saying that, and I'm getting closer to that, Dale Kerstetter never had one thing to do with stealing that platinum. And that's it.
I think I agree with that. After all of this information, to me it seems that Dale possibly was not involved. I think given all of this information, for me the biggest clue is how early the thief came in. I feel like he just got really lucky
Yeah.
and he was able to pull it off.
I do have a question for you, though. Do you think this thief was an insider? Or do you think he was just a random robber who got lucky?
I definitely think that whoever this person is, they did a lot of research.
Or already knew, like, what to do? Like, maybe he's working in that field.
Yes, possibly, or knew what to do. I think maybe it is a possibility that this person is not an employee. I think I remember seeing Aaron Stoner's YouTube video about this case or something. It was mentioned, maybe not on his YouTube video, somewhere else. It was mentioned that the culprit was seen kind of like walking around for a long time.
Back and forth, right?
Yeah, until he got access to the furnace. So I think it's not an employee, but I think it could have been an employee, but I think It makes more sense to me that it's a criminal. Because you know, what employee would be willing to kill people? This is already
That's
someone.
true.
This is already someone who's not doing a 9 to 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not working there. They're a killer. A killer is not gonna do that 9 to 5 in a factory. So basically, he's a guy who knows about this platinum setup. He knows how to sell it. He just goes in on a random evening, gets to Dale. Unfortunately, I believe he kills Dale and steals the platinum.
He, to be honest, it feels like he's the luckiest rubber. Because what a coincidence. Art left, even though it's still a shift. And then there was a new guy who missed out the fact that there wasn't any phone call, or like only one phone call throughout Dale's whole shift, and he just got away.
You know why this is scary? Mm-hmm. Because growing up, when, you know, I was thinking to myself, man, being a night guard is the best job ever.
You could just watch YouTube on the side, right?
You could just watch TV or YouTube, and it's the easiest job ever. But Dale Kerstetter's case kinda is scary to think that this is happening in real life. Night guards are being
In danger.
Yeah, they are killed sometimes.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because, to be honest, I also really think that the security probably went a bit more lax, mainly because maybe for the longest time, there was nothing of that nature incident or whatever in that plant. It's just a boring plant. Really boring, nothing's happening. So that's why I think maybe the new guy thought like not checking in. It's just a minor mistake. You know? They're not very strict anymore. I don't know, that's what I sense.
Yeah. I agree that probably they were just lax about things. I think it's a good time to wrap up. Or you have another thing to mention? Of course.
I just wanted to also, I just remembered about Dale's retirement, something about it. I didn't get to really read too much about it. Like the company did not give his retirement to his children or something.
Oh yeah, that's true. I looked at it a little bit. Apparently, after Dale went missing, the company was not paying Dale's retirement or something like that. I don't know how it works.
It's foul.
To the family, because they were saying that Dale was in on the heist.
Yeah.
So that's why they weren't paying him or his family, let's put it this way, the money. But I think it's just some corporate, but it's so sleazy because they were making so much revenue. I don't know, maybe they weren't profitable, but at that point...
They were downsizing though, so maybe that's why.
Maybe it was bad time for them, or I don't know how crazy they were, like cutting on the expenses, but this feels like so crazy.
It's insanely crazy.
Like the company absolutely did not care about Dale back in the day, or his family.
Yeah. It's also kind of crazy to think that maybe that if Dale was in on it, he would just disappear, start a new life without ever contacting his 6 children, 2 grandchildren, 1 ex-wife, and 1 girlfriend. Just like that.
Yeah, no.
Best friend too.
I think we already agreed that
Dale was not in on it.
If he was in on it, he didn't want to disappear. He probably want to seem innocent.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know. I'm still leaning more towards that he was innocent, and unfortunately, he met such a very bad end that day.
Yeah, I do believe that. Yeah, unfortunately, Dale died during that night. And that's one thing that I think is
so unfortunate.
For certain.
Yeah, I hope they find his body soon. Not his body, like his remains soon.
I don't think they're gonna find his remains. hopefully they would, right? I hope they could find the killer, because the
Seems
killer,
impossible.
it's been so long ago, you know. That is true.
Penny, his daughter, is already like 60, 61 right now.
Yeah, yep, something like that.
And
Probably.
his ex-wife Nancy is around 80, 85. It's been too long.
Maybe the culprit is dead. Maybe the masked man is dead. Because, you know, in this line of work, you probably also die
Yeah.
soon. So maybe even that guy is dead and he's nowhere to be seen anymore.
Yeah. You also know what's interesting? Maybe we could also try to find similar cases. I
Where-
meant like something like mineral related somewhere happening around the area. I'm wondering whoever the thief was, is it a local?
I have no idea.
Right? Were there other cases similar to this around Pennsylvania?
Well, there were similar cases, but no one ended up missing.
True.
This is the only time that someone was actually missing.
Maybe it's the same culprit, but maybe, just maybe, and I'm just completely assuming here, Dale fought and he got killed.
Yeah, that is also a possibility.
But there were no blood or anything. He just seemed like he just disappeared.
That is how it went down. All right, I think we had a good podcast here. Thank you for doing a lot of research, Rain, this week.
Oh, thank you for listening, everyone, and thank you for guiding me.
No, yeah, thank you for the assistance with the research. I think we would like to ask our audience to chime in, tell us what you think. Please subscribe or leave some sort of a rating on the apps wherever you're listening to this podcast. And we will talk to you on the next episode, Case. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Be safe.
Bye.
Bye.